So, let's jump right in marriage and family counselling. It's easy to think of therapy as just for crisis moments, but honestly, more families are turning to it even for day-to-day challenges. Why do you think it's become such a cornerstone in supporting relationships?
What really stands out to me is how counseling goes beyond just fixing problems. It's about building healthier communication and understanding skills that can totally change the dynamic at home. For so many couples and families, it's like learning the rules of a game they never realized they were playing.
That's a great way to put it. I've noticed people often start counselling after a big argument, but end up staying because they discover new ways to connect or support each other. It's not just about crisis management, it's about thriving together.
Exactly. Families come in all shapes and sizes, and so do their challenges. Whether it's parenting headaches or just navigating life changes, having a neutral person guide the conversation makes a huge difference. Speaking of guides, have you looked into the main approaches therapists use these days?
I have, and it's fascinating. Systems theory, for example, really changed how therapists view families not as a set of individuals, but as a whole system where every part influences the rest. It's almost like a mobile. Move one piece and everything shifts.
That image brings it to life. And then there's emotionally focused therapy EFT, which dives into how couples connect emotionally. It's less about whose fault something is and more about helping partners really hear each other's fears or needs.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I've heard so many success stories where couples, after years of talking past each other, finally start to understand the feelings underneath their arguments. Therapists sometimes use CBT too, right?
Absolutely. Cognitive behavioral therapy helps people spot those negative patterns, like I always mess things up, and swap them for healthier ways of thinking. It's practical, which a lot of clients appreciate. Honestly, these approaches are often blended, depending on what the family needs most.
Switching gears a bit when people think about family counselling, they might imagine only major crises. But the topics can range from little communication hiccups to huge betrayals like infidelity. In your experience, what do families struggle with most often?
Communication breakdowns top the list, hands down. Sometimes it's just not feeling heard. Other times, it's big ticket issues like trust after infidelity or parenting disagreements. Even things like coping with loss or blending families can be sources of stress.
That actually reminds me of a friend's family going through a tough transition after a move, new schools, routines, everything. It was the simple stuff, like who picks up the kids, that became battlegrounds.
I hear that a lot. Even day-to-day stressors or outside issues like job loss can ripple through the whole family. Counselors help families untangle those knots and find healthier ways to support each other.
One question I get from people is what actually happens in family counselling. The mystery around that first session can make folks nervous.
Honestly, the first step is usually just getting everyone's story on the table. The therapist wants to get a sense of the family dynamic but also reassure everyone that it's a safe, neutral space. Clarifying goals early, like we want to argue less or feel closer, keeps things focused.
After that, there's a real emphasis on learning new skills. Communication exercises, conflict resolution strategies, even role-playing tricky conversations. These are all on the table. Progress gets checked as you go, and if something isn't working, therapists switch it up.
That flexibility is key, and as families see progress, maybe fewer blow-ups or better teamwork, they gain confidence. Eventually, sessions taper off, but families know they can return if new challenges pop up. It's more like building a toolkit than just fixing one leak.
But let's be real, counselling isn't always smooth sailing. Resistance comes up, sometimes just from the idea of changing old habits.
So true. There's often at least one person who's skeptical or feels like they're being blamed. The therapist's job is partly to help everyone see the benefits of change and go at a pace that feels safe.
And cultural differences or past trauma add extra layers. I've seen therapists bring in extra resources or slow down the process to make sure everyone feels respected and included.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the everyday pressures, work, school, finances that can sneak into sessions. Good therapists help families recognize what's within their control and offer support for the things outside it. In the end, it's all about building resilience and deeper connection, even when life gets messy.